Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews. No, it's not anymore. It's just Noah. Um, Noah, listen today. I wanted to do a music-related video. I wanted to actually make a video that's not really a review. It's not really a ranking. I don't know what it is. Because of my good friend, he and I had been talking about Pink Floyd. So we had started talking, and he was just talking about how he didn't really know where to start with the band. So originally I thought of making a video of how to get into Pink Floyd, where you start with, where you go next, that kind of thing. And then I was like, I kind of want to more just do a ranking. And then I kind of ended up having a lot of albums that I felt pretty meh, not meh as in bad, but very similar opinions on them. So I didn't know how to rank them. So then I just kind of decided I didn't know what to do, so we're just going to make a video. I will start off this video by saying there are a lot of people yelling by the apartment. I don't know why. There's also a plane flying by. So I apologize for those things. So, I guess you get some interesting background noise. But yeah, so this video is just kind of going to be me talking about Pink Floyd. I am going to go through the ranking I have, because I did construct one. It's just so all over the place. And I feel like anyone that's coming to this video that's not a subscriber, not one of my friends, will not care about this video, because I'm going to be so super informal about this. But who knows? Like I said, I kind of quit YouTube. I'm just doing it for fun anymore. So I just wanted to talk about Pink Floyd because I love this band. I actually got into Pink Floyd because of my grandpa. He loves Pink Floyd. His favorite band followed closely by Led Zeppelin, but Pink Floyd's always been the top. And he's not even the kind of person that's like, I like Pink Floyd, aka I like Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here. No, he likes all of the albums. I've talked to him about some of these albums, and yes, he likes all of them, except for one, I know. Yeah, so he's a huge Pink Floyd fan. And he got me into him just by him talking about them so much, and I ended up inheriting some of his collection at one time, and I got a couple Pink Floyd albums from that. And I just got super into it. I also have a really good friend who helped me get into them. So it was a combination of those two things to help me get into them. And there were a couple albums that I hadn't ever heard. I heard most of them once, but there were only a couple I had returned to, mainly because I was just your standard, only knowing the popular stuff for a long time. And eventually I just decided I wanted to really get into them. And especially in the past week or so, I've been really listening to them. So with that being said, obviously there's some of these albums that I just don't know as well. I understand that that's kind of early to do a ranking video, but I just want to talk about a band I love. Like I said, I do know a lot of these albums. There are just some albums that I'm pretty unfamiliar with. I feel like there's three in particular that it's not even that I'm unfamiliar with them. I just don't know where they rank, and you'll hear me talk about those. So I'm just gonna start going through it. And try to talk about some of these albums. So I want to start at the bottom of my list, which that for me is Umaguma or Umaguma. I've heard people pronounce it both ways. I don't know what the right way is. I don't like it. This is one of the very few albums that I genuinely don't like. This is their fourth album? It's their fourth album. And the first half is a live album, and then the second is mainly instrumentals. And I have no problem with the band being experimental. I like that. That's what I feel like a lot of people will like about Pink Floyd. But this just doesn't have much to return to, not much in the sake of melodies. Of course, there's some songs that just, what's the name of the song? The several species of small furry animals gather together in a cave, etc. It's just a song with a bunch of animal noises. There's a lot of animal noises in this album, and just genuinely, I just don't really like it. I understand, a lot of people really like the live songs, at least. But for me, honestly, I just take the standard studio edition better. I think the studio edition's just as good on most of them. So for me, it doesn't have any merit to it. I have no reason to choose this over anything else. Plus, I don't like the second half. It's just not my thing. Obviously, my notes are on my side. Next up is their newest album, actually, The Endless River. Basically entirely instrumental. It's fine. This is probably the other one that I just don't feel positive towards, and I think that most Pink Floyd fans agree with me. They're good instrumentals. They're good. They were like B-sides from the Division Bell. They're good instrumentals. It's just a whole album of it gets old. They're not spectacular or anything crazy. They're nothing like the huge sweeping movements of things that came off of like Heartmother or any of that era. It just doesn't have much that stands out, anything that makes it really noteworthy, I would say. And that's my main problem with it. It was a B-sides album. This is the stuff we have left that we never got to put into an album. Let's just throw it into an album and see what sticks. And it wasn't necessary. I appreciate the band at least giving people something a long time after the band had disbanded. But yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me, and I don't feel like it does much for a lot of Pink Floyd fans. Next up is their 1970 album, Heartmother, like I just mentioned. Yeah, I think that this is one of my more controversial picks. I don't think that anyone considers this one of their best, but I think they'd put a lot more albums below this one. And so many people love the title track. It's this almost 24 minute sweeping movement, but it's not their best instrumental. There's instrumentals that I like a whole lot more than this one. That one's just boring. Honestly, that's one of the tracks I don't like on this album, along with Alan Psychedelic Breakfast, which unfortunately is another 13 minutes. So there you have almost the whole time of the album. Honestly, for me, and you know what, I honestly do appreciate the band because they allowed all the band members to write a song on this one. And I like that. I like that. It just unfortunately didn't work that well. It was basically like they all got to write a song and then they had Heartmother. Yeah, I appreciate that everyone had their time, their song, and I think some of them really work. Summer 68, Fat Old Son, and If are all really good. I really like all of those. It's just the longer ones in this particular album do not work. And again, this is not the case of me not liking the longer songs or not getting their experimental side. It's just I feel like this one's one of their weaker experimental moments. Next up, this one actually, I know a lot of people probably would have placed this definitely below Heartmother. I have more. It was a soundtrack for a movie, so it's a lot of instrumentals, and I'll admit a lot of the instrumentals are good, not like amazing, nothing super creative. They're just good score for a movie. So why do I like this album so much? I feel like a lot of what stands out for me in this album is that it's pretty consistently a good album, whereas Heartmother had 3 really good songs that would definitely put it above this one. I also don't like 2 of them, and even for the people that like Heartmother, I feel like a lot of people don't like Alan Psychedelic Breakfast on Heartmother. So for me, that means that more is better because more is consistently good. I like a lot of the instrumentals. If I was going to turn on a more instrumental album from them, this is one of the ones I'd choose. I really like more. Plus, songs like the Nile song and Cymbeline, I really like. The Nile song, one of my favorite songs from the band, admittedly, not like in meaning, but just it's such a hard, heavy rock song. Really good stuff. I like a lot of it. I think it's a much more solid album than a lot of people would even give it credit for. Jumping ahead, I feel like I'm just going back and forth in their time period. Jumping ahead, I'm going to put Momentary Lapse of Reason. I've had a lot of contemplating with this one. I first heard it and I really hated it because it feels like a band with such identity crisis. it feels like they didn't know what to do with this album, which they didn't really. This is like Roger Waters had left, so this is like a David Gilmour solo album. It was going to be a David Gilmour solo album, basically. But the label was like, hey, you need to put out a Pink Floyd album, so it became Pink Floyd. That's not to say that it's not an okay album, and upon listening to it more, the more I listened to it, the more I ended up getting into it. And like songs like Learning to Fly, you know, it's not as creative as some of their other stuff, but it's a dang good song. I can't deny the power of Learning to Fly. It's a fun, catchy number, and I really like it. And like I said, it did grow on me. I think the biggest thing that just my knee-jerk reaction was that it did not sound like Pink Floyd. That I heard a lot of songs and I felt like it sounded very much like just a standard 80s band. A lot of the songs just to me make me think of generic 80s synth or pop rock, whatever. So this album, that's its biggest flaw. It's nothing amazing, don't get me wrong. I'm not praising it, but it definitely grew on me. It got to the place where I actually was feeling pretty positive on it. Moving on, back down to their earlier discography, A Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to not like me for this. Again, not because I don't like their more experimental stuff. Heck, a lot of people would typically put their second album below Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I would disagree. Piper at the Gates of Dawn is good, very whimsical. This was in their early years with Syd Barrett, and it's a whimsical but like dark album, and I like it a lot. Actually, this is the first album where we get into this is what makes Pink Floyd a great band. Everything else, I don't know. I haven't rated them, but like this is at least a 6.5 or a 6 or a 7, somewhere around there. So everything's up from there. They have a lot of good stuff, and that's the problem. This album, it's very whimsical, very, very creative, but it just it isn't what I go for to why I go to Pink Floyd. I would go to them because I want to hear really experimentation on instrumentals and complex lyrics and that kind of thing. And Piper at the Gates of Dawn is still super good, and it's one of those albums that the more I listen to it, the more it grows on me. I've been listening to it more than most of these albums. It's just one that's easy to return to and a really fun album. It's just one that doesn't have that thing, I would say. A lot of the other albums I feel like have a thing that makes them great. This is just a really good album, putting it just a little below some other things. And I'm actually going to follow this one up by Obscured by Clouds. This is the other one where I feel like the band was having some kind of identity crisis, which is kind of weird because the two albums bookending this are Dark Side of the Moon and Metal. Both of those albums seem like a natural transition into each other. It seems like they were really finding their footing and moving in this more pop direction, becoming a little more mainstream, a little less eccentric. This album seems like they're doing that. It is a move towards pop, but it seems like the wrong move. It seems like, again, it sounds like these are songs I could hear from other bands. And it's another one of the albums I didn't like upon some of my first listens. This one, along with Momentary Lapse of Reason, are two of the albums that were newer for me. But I do like it. I do honestly, genuinely like it. I think it's a good album, and I think that I underrated it. I don't have a ton to say about this album. It's definitely, like I said, one of the ones I know the least. But it's a good album. I think I underrated it. I don't know what this consensus is. I feel like this is one of those albums that people are not super fond of, but don't hate. I don't know if I'm kind of in the majority here of being kind of on the fence about it. Following this album, I'm going to put The Division Bell. Division Bell is the band finding a much, much stronger footing after they lost Roger Waters. I think that they kind of struggled on that first album after Waters left. This is a much stronger display for them. And it's got some really great songs. I like most of the album. I genuinely do. I don't think that there's too many times that I feel like it's the case of identity crisis. I think that it's a good album, a really good album. I genuinely enjoy a lot of it. The closing track, High Hopes, is one that I really like. I feel like the only track that I don't really like is What Do You Want From Me? It's just a song. But yeah, I actually really like this album. I think it's the band finding their footing, and I really do like it. Following this, I have Saucerful of Secrets, and I'm going to say right now, Saucerful of Secrets through like Piper at the Gates of Dawn, those 4 albums that I've named, so Obscured by Clouds, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Division Bell, and Saucerful of Secrets, all of those I feel like are the ones most likely to change in my rankings. They feel very close. They are all like really good albums. If I do feel like maybe Piper at the Gates of Dawn isn't in there, but at least the other 3, they are around 7s for me, 7.5s for me. I really do like those. Again, these aren't official rankings. I may give 8s to some of them. But I really like them. Those 3 are really solid albums. Saucerful of Secrets, the follow-up album, their second album. Incredible album. I genuinely Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. One of the best songs that they've ever recorded. Also, I acknowledge it's getting very dark. I guess I already started, so this is what we're getting. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Genuinely one of the best songs they've ever recorded. Roger Waters did a great job on this song, and I think it's such a good song. I really do like this album. I feel like it has that whimsicality of the first album, but just works a little better, which I hate to say because this album basically didn't have Syd Barrett in it. He contributed, I think, to one song, I believe, to just Jug Band Blues. And so I hate to say that because I really respect Syd Barrett. I think he's a very talented lyricist. But I think that the band was able to continue with that whimsicality and just did it better without him, admittedly. I know. This is probably one of my more hot takes, but whatever. I'll take it. We're getting down to the last couple. We have Final Cut, the basically B-sides to The Wall. I really, really love Roger Waters. He is the one that I like. He is my favorite member of the band. I've liked his solo stuff quite a bit. I feel like he has a really definable sound and a really enjoyable he's just really good at crafting songs. He's got a really broken sounding voice that I think works so well for his music. He really finds his stride as the band develops. But yeah, Final Cut, basically B-sides. It's much less organized. It's really hitting the nail on the head with the concept. It's really obvious. It's just a anti-war album. Some of the songs are a little too in your face about it. I feel like this is also one of the albums I could see moving. I know I didn't include it in when I was talking about the ones I could see moving, but I do see this one moving only because this was the 3rd album I hadn't heard very much. This was the 3rd. And yeah, it doesn't click with me a ton, but yet I still really love it because I love Roger Waters. It's the one that I see moving. I feel like sonically I like it a lot. Lyrically is where it is weaker. And it's pretty pretentious, I'll admit. The music is pretty pretentious. So as we lose more daylight and you guys have to deal with it because I'm the least professional music critic on YouTube, we have the final 5 that everyone predicts, everyone puts in their final 5, and I hated to do it and I really tried not to. But they're the most famous for a reason. They deserve it. They deserve to be in the top 5. They are all masterpieces in their own way. So 5th, I am going to put Metal. I actually thought Metal would not be 5th. Thought it would be 4th, which you'll see what my 4th position is in a minute. I genuinely thought it would not make it or it would be 4th. I really like this album. I've always really liked it. It's one that it was one of the first albums outside of those big 4 that I tried to explore just because I had heard good things about it, and rightfully so. It's a great album. I don't have any, honestly, I know a lot of people, there's some songs that they don't like that much, but I like all of it. Even like Seamus. I know a lot of people don't love Seamus. I think it's just a cute little song, kind of whimsical like their older stuff. And Echoes is a good example of a 24-minute instrumental. I know, like I was talking about Adam Heartmother. I feel like this is just where it works a whole lot better. This is where the band puts those pieces together in a way that just works a whole lot better. It's a thing that I really do like, because I do like these long instrumentals. It's nothing against them, it's just metal does it so much better, and I think everyone can agree on that. Following that is, here comes my controversial. This is probably one of my most controversial, is Dark Side of the Moon. Sorry guys, I have always found this album a little overrated. Not overrated in the sense of like, oh, it's not even that good. It's definitely great. Like, it's definitely great. But I don't think it stands out between the final 3 albums. The final 3 are just incredible. This one's just a tiny step down, and it's still so good. Songs like Speak to Me and then Breathe in the Air, great songs. Brain Damage and Eclipse, 2 of my favorite Pink Floyd songs, just that suite right there. Great Gig in the Sky, Us and Them, all great songs. Unfortunately, I think the singles are what bring it down for me. Money and Time just, they're not bad. They're just not my favorite. I don't even think it's from Overplay, because I never hear them on the radio. My radio station mainly focuses on the singles from The Wall. So I don't think it's the singles. It's just never been my thing. Never been the ones I turn to. They're not as... I just don't think that the band... I think they were supposed to be singles, and I think the band lost some of their really brilliantness. But like, for what it did, the amazing production that this album had, the revolutionary nature of it, definitely deserves the credit it gets, and it's still an incredible album. It just doesn't quite compare to the things that they come up with immediately thereafter. So third, I'm going to put Animals. I don't feel like that's necessarily controversial. I feel like people usually put Animals around here. Great album, of course. An album about society, I guess. Very like Animal Farm-y. And I really do like it. It was a really eye-opening moment for me, because this, after The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon, this is where I had turned, and this is when I go, okay, this band is actually worth my time. Like, they didn't just make 2 really incredible albums, they at least made 3. And it was really eye-opening for me, just because I was enamored with it. The instrumentation is incredible. It's not the best jumping on point, I don't feel, because we go back to these longer instrumentals. I actually feel the best jumping on points for this band are either Dark Side of the Moon or the final 2, which I'm going to go into now, which are my second pick, Wish You Were Here. Wish You Were Here is definitely one of the jumping off points that I'd suggest, only because the 2 longer musical tracks, which are just the Shine On You Crazy Diamond parts, definitely top 5 songs from the band, especially the first, parts 1 through 5. I love that track. I love Have a Cigar. I think that's one of their funniest songs without... It's supposed to be a little funny, but like, it's one of their funniest that aren't just like intentionally funny, like silly titles, silliness. Wish You Were Here, great moving song about Syd Barrett. Of course, same as Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, I'm going to go back to, because it is such an incredible song. I genuinely, I cannot express that enough. The Shine On You Crazy Diamond parts are musical genius, and there's no other way to put it. And then, of course, I didn't mention Welcome to the Machine, but also I love Welcome to the Machine. I know I put it in last, but I don't even think it's my least favorite song. Actually, I'd say that of this album, Wish You Were Here is my least favorite. Again, just the single, it just doesn't do as much for me. But yeah, incredible album. So that means everyone knows what my last pick is, which is The Wall. And if anyone knew me, they'd already know that. Anyone that didn't, it's controversial. Most people would probably put that at the bottom of those big 4. But no, I could never. This album just means so much to me. It's really the first time I dug into Pink Floyd, and I loved it. I was enamored with this concept of building your wall, blocking people out, and the dangers of it, and even as it's alluded into the album, will it continue? Will this be a never-ending cycle that people endure? I could talk on this album alone for hours, and genuinely, I might one day. It's one of those albums that I can't get enough of. I can't get enough of the live versions or the movie. And actually, this album's what I was talking to about with my friend to try to get started. And I think it's a really good jumping off point. It's their longest, except for maybe Ummagumma, but it's so worth it. And I'll admit, even I think that there are minor flaws. I think some of it feels a little rushed, and I think some of that was just due to technical limitations. The band had to fit it all onto two vinyl discs, and so that limited what they could do with the album. That's why the final cut exists, because a lot of those, I don't know how many of those songs were necessarily going to make it. I know, like, When the Tiger Breaks Free would have been one that they were trying to get on it, but I think that honestly could have, or When the Tigers Broke Free, sorry, I had to check because I knew it wasn't quite right. I think that would be, like, I think songs that would just add a little length to it would actually make it better, which I know some people may not agree with me on. I think that adding length to this album would only make it stronger, because some of the details just feel a little rushed. Yet, while saying that, I will happily say that I still think that this album is a 10. It's one of the only 10s I've ever heard in my life. But this album means so much to me. Emotionally, like just from memories, and just as a piece of music, it really opened my eyes to what music could be. Music could be this huge, grandiose rock opera about such an incredibly personal and meaningful concept of loss, pain, just isolation, drug abuse, all of it. Materialism, I could go on. In this album, really, I know, like I said, I feel like a lot of people put this below some of the other albums. And I get that, I really do. I know what people's flaws are with this, and heck, if you liked some of their earlier stuff and then came to The Wall, yeah, you wouldn't like it that much. I mean, I get that. Roger Waters really took over here, and Roger Waters made the band sound much different than even David Gilmour would try to do. And I guess that kind of means that the band found some little identity crisis here, but I guess I'm just used to it. This is what I'm used to Pink Floyd sounding like. But yeah, I get it. I get how some people may not think that this album is as perfect as I do. David, again, the experimentation, a lot of it's much more streamlined or pop driven. It's supposed to be easy to get into. That doesn't mean that it's not creative and unique and incredible, but of course it's much easier to get into than a lot of their albums. But yeah, it's just one of those albums for me. I can't get enough of it. The movie, I recommend it. A lot of people probably don't like that either. I really like it just because, if only for the animations alone. The animations are incredible, like the ones on Goodbye Blue Sky, and The Trial. The Trial, so good. I love this album, and I'd love to do more talking about it. I really do. Yeah, it's an album that I really enjoy, to say the least. Yeah, I know I've talked for 30 minutes. I guess I'll end. I just wanted to talk about Pink Floyd. I know I ended up ranking them, and I'm not sure if I'm confident with my ranking. I feel like it'll change, especially that area that I talked about. But I just want to talk about Pink Floyd. Take my rankings to mean so little. Just take my sentiments to mean something. My thoughts are developed more than my ranking, especially for that middle area. Like I said, I think that those could change. I do realize I forgot to mention, which this is, like I said, least organized video. Metal was going to be above Dark Side of the Moon. I used to not like Dark Side of the Moon very much. I think I did mention it some, but yeah, I thought it was very overrated. And I think it was mainly because of Money and Time. I think Money and Time were the two that were dragging it down for me. Listening to it again just recently, I rediscovered its greatness. So yeah, that is my discussion, my 30-minute. This is my TED Talk. I don't meme. I don't know why I tried to now. This is my discussion of Pink Floyd. I really do love this band. I absolutely recommend them. If you wanted someplace to jump in, I would go The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon, or maybe The Wall's only daunting because of its not because of its music as much as it's just long and a big concept to grasp. So I'd recommend probably the Dark Side of the Moon. The Wall, Animals, and Wish You Were Here are pretty good starting points. And then I'd kind of decide what you liked best. If you really liked The Wall, I'd say The Final Cut's a good place. If you really like things like Animals, I'd recommend some of their earlier stuff. And if you don't have taste, I'd recommend Ummagumma. So, yeah. If you have any actual specific questions, you say you like them, where should I start next? Because it's a big discography. I'd be happy to help. I'm no expert in the matter, but I do really like the band, and I'd be happy to help you explore it and just re-explore it with you. Been listening to them nonstop for about 2 weeks, and I don't imagine that's going to change, at least not with The Wall. So I will talk to you guys later. I know it's unorganized. Thank you guys for watching. It means a lot to me. Hopefully you liked it, even though I said nothing, it got dark, I went back and forth. Hey, it's what you come to expect from me. I'm sure you'll see a video from Melissa soon. She's doing much better than I am at keeping this channel up. But thank you guys for watching. As always, it means a lot. Stay tuned for a cooking video from Melissa. I may do another video. That one's questionable. We'll see. But I want to talk about Pink Floyd. Thank you guys for watching. Seriously, it means a lot to me. I hope you guys like me just rambling about Pink Floyd for half an hour in the dark. And I'll see you guys later.